Morning, pen friends. This is Andy Dorm from pandapenclub.com, and I've been waiting to record this video for, well, what feels like an outrageous length of time because of the noise outside, which persistently won't die down. There's a sort of assortment of 4 large, ghastly, luxurious houses opposite my windows, taunting me, or trying to taunt me. And the people who are doing some sort of construction work in them are obviously so wild and lavish that they like to leave their cars with the engine running and all the doors and windows open for, a good half an afternoon. And whatever they're cutting in half, it sounds like maybe an entire oak tree or possibly a battleship that they're going to turn into some sort of multi-storied living room centerpiece. I don't know. The pen I'm going to talk to you, or I would like to talk to you about today, it is the Delike Brass Alpha Pocket Pen. Delike, here's its box, which says on the front, Delike or Delike in Chinese, and it also says La Se Gu Pong, which means wire drawing, bronze coloured. So a bronze art device, perhaps, and then it says EF Xiao Mei Gong, which means small art studio or small art, I think, and it refers to the nib, obviously. Xiao Mei Gong Jian would mean small art nib. I don't think this is an EF nib because I ordered a 0.6mm and I've put it back in the package to create the illusion for you that this is me unboxing the pen, and that's done purely for your viewing pleasure and to create a sense of anticipation and thrill as you watch me canoodling with the box and refusing to open it. But I'm going to get there soon, worry not. I must admit, I ordered this pen for a specific reason, and that reason was outrage, and you'll see why shortly. So it comes in this sheath, which says made in China on the back, and it's quite a splendid tin we have here. A tin of, well, a tin has required some investment of time and money. The name Delike Writing Instruments has been, the brand name has been sort of embossed, as has this little drawing of the pen. And now you might see, or you might start to guess, where my outrage came from. Let's open the tin. Let's deal with the definite article. So here it is. There's just a little sticker there that says, I don't know if you can read it. It says Hege, which just means quality assured, a little green sticker, and a convenient little fingertip divot thing, so you can remove the pen without undue fuss, inconvenience, or breaking of nails. And I think if you're at all versed in fountain pens, oh, and this very nice orange background, excuse me, if you're at all versed in fountain pens, you will know where my outrage came from when I ordered this. Outrage, curiosity, astonishment, bafflement, because this is a true doppelganger for the Kaweco Sport, this pen. And it's such a deeply outrageous doppelganger in my book that I don't know, the ethics of disapproving of something and then bunging money in its direction and bunging a video on YouTube about it. But it's an aspect of the world, it exists. Chinese pen manufacturers do this, and I'm not saying accept it. This the thing I want to emphasize in this review is this goes far too far. But I don't think that's something that, I don't think that means we should just put our fingers in our ears and try and imagine it doesn't exist and pretend it'll go away, because it won't. I think maybe I'm advocating a degree of laissez-faire blandness that just permits me to do whatever I want and buy whatever I want, and perhaps I should be taking a moral stand, but well, and you might be right. Let me know what you think about this. I am interested and I am open-minded and I am willing to change my opinions, and I am very willing to be told I'm wrong. I welcome that. So do go ahead. And this review is particularly, God, that's a lot of noise in the background, and I hope it doesn't bother you. This one, and this one, I did own this, and I have owned this for quite some time. Must admit, barely ever use it. And it's interesting to me. I thought perhaps a premise for this review could be, why copy, guys? Why copy? Because what I have to tell you, and what I'm going to conclude with this review, is that this pen is enchanting, intriguing, and it certainly doesn't need to copy someone else's design. So let's get into the pen itself after that rather elaborate, chainsaw-filled preamble. First impressions. Oh yes, Kaweco Sport, right down to all the bloody details, I'm afraid, apart from the rounded finial, which is more like the, is it the Lilliput? The Kaweco Lilliput? Or, I'm sorry, I haven't double checked what Kaweco has this feature, but there is one. The other unassailable, the other unignorable features of this fountain pen are its weight, which is damn heavy. It's around 50 odd grams, and just a crowbar. It's not difficult to raise the issue of the Kaweco. Just to mention this again, the Kaweco is extremely light. It's made out of, I think, probably aluminium, because it's so light. But this, God, you could bludgeon someone to an early grave with this. It is almost a weapon. In fact, it's really substantial in the hand. I don't think I own a heavier pen, perhaps, apart from maybe this dude, this hero, which I'll be reviewing in another video, which is also all metal. This, it has a multifaceted cap, which has 1, 2, 3, oh, let me count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 sides to it. What is that called? Like a nonogram? Like a nonagenarium? Noctogram? Who knows? But that is, yeah, it is a 9-faceted round shape, and it has a removable clip, also painfully similar facsimile of the Kaweco design, this clip. And rather, just to add to my total bafflement about this pen, it has the phrase "War and Peace" laser etched or laser engraved, or I don't know what sort of spacecraft or witchery kind of created these words on here, but I'd be more interested in probing the mind behind them, not Tolstoy, but the mind that decided, oh yes, we'll put the name of that novel on this pen, and then we'll call it the Alpha Brass pocket pen. I don't know. Is it a sort of fait accompli to the Western world of copyright standards? This sort of, we're going to war with your copyright, but we're doing so peacefully by creating low-cost products that will insidiously worm their way into the compromises of your own life. It's just a theory. It's just a slightly ribald little theory. Anyway, War and Peace seems to be written on there, which seems very studenty to me. Could have Che Guevara face on the finial or something, just to complete the effect. And one thing I suppose is helpful is the manufacturer's Delike name and little emblem is engrafted onto the clip. Unfortunately, the clip is removable, so you could lark around with this thing without the clip and there would be no identifying feature apart from your slightly twatty engraving there. So, moving on from that troubling aspect of this creature, the materials, the weight. The weight comes from brass. This pen is made out of a massive, great chunk of brass. This is a piece of brass that you could use to poker the embers of a dying fire and bring it back to light. You could keep this on your fireplace and use it to bring warmth to a cold room. It's that potently substantial, this substance, as befits the name Delike. Efficacy encased, efficacy in your hand, harnessed efficacy. And I suppose having something this heavy, and it is beginning, because I'm perhaps a little malnourished, not malnourished, but perhaps if because I'm a lazy bitch that does no exercise, my arm's getting a bit tired holding it up. It's that heavy. Pens as exercise, so it could be a get two of these and power walk around, and you'd rapidly build up a life-changing level of fitness. It's heavy. It's made of brass. That was my point, I think. Moving on. Materials, brass, plastic section. Always forget to put my hand there. Apologies for that. Plastic section. And let me give you a little tour of well, there's very little else to report. The finial, the upper finial is, well, unremarkable. Sort of a chiseled little cone. And the lower finial is a spherical, blunt object. Colonel Mustard in the drawing room with the Delike Alpha Brass. I was always Colonel Mustard. I don't know why in the board game Cluedo. Do you call it Cluedo in the US? I'm not sure. We call it Cluedo in the UK. And Colonel Mustard in the drawing room. It was a game where you had to figure out which player was the murderer in the massive house, and they all had funny names. I really don't know how that game entertained me and my family for so many hours, but it did. And yeah, it's a weapon. This pen is like a weapon. Don't put it in your hand luggage. It might be confiscated. It might be. It's like the man with the golden gun or something. That kind of dismantling, you could dismantle and reassemble into something else. But one feature of that I should mention, where this is again what I wanted to just sort of point out, there are a few areas where I feel strongly this improves on Kaweco's design. And the first area where it improves is this. I don't know if that's a very effective way of showing you. the length. Try and make that properly lined up. The length, you can see that? So that's posted, and the posted length of the Delike is 134 millimeters. Oh, this isn't posted, this is closed. The closed length of the Delike is 113 millimeters. The closed length of the Kaweco is 106 millimeters. So that is a 7 millimeter difference. Let's see the difference. Well, I'll just tell you the difference. Unposted, oh no, rather posted, because these are pens you tend to write posted with. The Delike is 134 millimeters in length. The Kaweco is 129 millimeters in length. And you might be saying, so what? So there's 6 millimeters difference in the effective usable length of this pen posted. Well, here's where I start to think, oh, they've improved something, and that's an interesting thing to note in the context of such a blatant copy. So it permits us, or it rather permits Delike to insert this rather substantial, for the pen size, converter. I was very pleased when I saw this thing, which is included obviously. When I first bought my Kaweco, I stumbled around with the cartridges for a while, had endless ink flow problems, and wondered whether I changed the nib, and you can see that the Kaweco uses this little plunge. Eventually I got this converter, and it's one of these plunger converters, and it's a diddly little thing, and I find it quite a faff to use. Not a huge fan, and it runs out constantly, which in a pocket pen is problematic for me, because I don't want a pocket pen that's just going to cough up a couple of droplets of ink. I want a pocket pen that I can walk around and, well, rely on to be more or less ready more or less most of the time. So I think this one improves with its cartridge, and I just wanted to show you also, because it reminded me of this, the cartridge is the converter rather is very similar. The converter, you can see, is very similar. It instantly struck me to the converter in my Platinum fountain pen, which I think is a very, very nice converter. One of the few things I like about this Platinum pen. Controversial maybe, but it's true. But in fact it's not. This is an international standard converter with a rather slinky little nose cone type deal on the end there. And it provides a much more reliable supply of ink, and the ink flow on this pen is improved by it and the feed and, well, the nib, which I'm going to get onto shortly. First I want to talk about the so you drop this. If I drop this on my phone, which I'm in fact fortunately recording this film on, it would have smashed the phone. It's heavy, and that has a bearing on what I want to talk about next, which is the clip, the facsimile clip. And I want to just talk to begin with about how the weight undermines this pen's pocketability. I don't know if you can see, I've probably worn the wrong type of shirt for this, but you can see I've got this heavy object in my pocket. It's not a pen you would want to leave unclipped with any other item in your pocket, and you may not want to have it in your pocket full stop because it'll make your shirt sag. But anyway, let's try the clippability. Clippability, very easy, very straightforward, almost worryingly straightforward. I would say this is loose, this clip. This is a very soft shirt, and as you can see it just hangs there. That's partly because of the weight, partly because of my big floppy moo shirt, and partly because, well, you can see the clip just sags off to an angle. It doesn't have anything to say for itself, this clip. I'll try it a bit further down. Oh, now I've got it a bit tighter if I have it further down, which is welcome, because you have a bit more width as the pen progresses downwards, which makes it a tiny bit tighter. But it's still not something I would want hanging around in my pocket. And look how easily I'm pulling that thing off. If it was a sort of, I mean, I wouldn't go like skiing with this pen in my top pocket, for example, because I'd lose it. If that helps. I now want to talk about the cap, which is 70 millimeters long in itself. Maybe another explanation for War and Peace being down the side is that it looks a bit like a bullet. Maybe. It's brass. It has some sort of film coating substance, which many users of this pen have had an awful lot of fun removing and then sort of weathering the brass, and their work looks magnificent. One of the people that's done that is Chris Rapp on YouTube, which is, yes, yeah, on YouTube, and rather fascinating it is too. You can write with this posted, or because it's slightly longer than the Kaweco, I actually find myself routinely writing with it unposted, and it writes, well, it sits in my hand quite happily. Unposted, it is 110 millimeters in length, which for me is, well, I think I've said elsewhere in another video that about 120 millimeters seems to be my optimal writing length, but 110 works perfectly well. However, it posts securely, very securely, as you would hope, and because you've got this 9-sided shape to the cap, you can establish a specific angle that you want to keep the pen at, and you can use this as a kind of a grip with the crook of your hand here to keep the pen steady, particularly steady, and to hold it at a particular angle, which I'll mention why you might want to do so in just a moment. So it can be written with posted, and I think probably most people would prefer to do that. It is heavy. Did I mention it's heavy? Yeah, it's heavy, posted. Unposted, it's also quite heavy, but less so, startlingly. In both cases, it's heavy. Posted, you have the benefit of this shape to grip with your hand, to hold the pen at a specific angle, and that's also relevant because when you have a brass finish like this, or any metal finish, there's the issue of slipperiness, and there is no grip on the section itself other than these very limited threads. And just to emphasize how limited those threads are, that's it. That's all it takes. Less than a turn to cap the pen and uncap the pen. but it caps securely, I should say. Yeah, I'm trying to open it now and I can't. I have to grip properly. So that's a comfort in an uncertain world. What else? So the section is slippery. I would say that's somehow guarded against by the grippiness up here. I think that's a point worth making. The nib. I want to get onto the Xiao Mei Gong Jian nib of this pen, because this really was the bit I enjoyed the most. So Xiao Mei Gong Jian, this called a small art nib, or I'm sure it would be utterly wrong of me to call it a mini architect, but it's, if my device can focus adequately, but it has a little upturn to it, a little like a Waverley nib, but much, much less pronounced. A Waverley nib or a Fude nib, much less pronounced. And I have found it. Oh, there you go. Xiao Mei Gong Jian is the name of this nib type. 0.6 millimeters, so medium kind of size. And because of this little upturn point, which I would describe, it's almost as if the little ball, the little iridium tip on this pen has been, instead of being placed on the front, it's just been popped on the top. And the effect of this baby is to make writing a really interesting and interesting sensory kind of delight, actually, as well as allowing you to do some slight variation. It allows me to get lines much closer together in the course, particularly vertical lines. It allows me to get them much closer together. Now there's a vast flock of birds squawking madly outside my window. Now the wealthy men and women of Nanjing have finished their living room centerpieces. All the metal workers have gone home. It's now the birds. Yes, this nib. The vertical lines, in the course of natural high-speed writing, casual writing, my lines can get much closer together. It offers a kind of precision. And horizontal lines, I can get much more thickness than I normally do. And I must say, it makes my Xiao Mei Gong Jian, my mini art nib, really nice for writing Chinese characters with, and writing in English as well. I was trying to figure out whether it was correct to say Roman characters. It is the Roman alphabet, isn't it? Do we call them Roman characters? Hopefully. So I've enjoyed the writing experience with this pen immensely, and it's because of the nib and the adequate ink flow compared to my Kaweco. It's a pen that I would go to on its own merits. I would not go to it as a pocket pen. It's not at all convenient as a pocket pen. I feel I don't find the design appealing, and partly that's because of my distaste for the copying aspect. And what I strongly feel with this pen is that it's baffling to me that a pen that has so many good features and has been constructed with plenty of thought, even if they wanted to use some sort of basic fundamental elements of the Kaweco design, why go all out like this and essentially nick it? Because with some tweaks, with some inventiveness of their own, Delike could have created a pen that I would be using all the time, and I must admit I am using this a hell of a lot, and the weight doesn't trouble me. And nobody I'm writing around has any idea what a Kaweco is anyway. I assume. I haven't interrogated everybody, but for me, yeah, it's jarring to look at this in my hand. And not just because it's a blunt object, but because it's just so unnecessary. Or at least to me, without, maybe there's a really good production orientated reason for this. Maybe Kaweco and this brand are intimately acquainted, and they've got some sort of, you know, supply chain kind of reason why this is a smart way to go, but it doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me. This could, I could spend half an afternoon messing about and creating some design modifications that would make this pen distinctively Delike and not brazenly Kaweco. I don't get it myself, and it's a shame because, as I say, it's improved on the Kaweco's design. I prefer it to the Kaweco, but it's got a big, big black mark against it because of the copying. Now we're going to move on to the writing sample. Delike Alpha Pocket fountain pen. Let's go the whole hog and be reckless with the lack of space. And Delike is written in Chinese like this. Well, something like this. If you're at all skilled in this area, you will have much to say about my very poor handwriting. Well, you'll have much to say about my poor handwriting in any ruddy language, I imagine, but hey. Anxieties of mine are not the key subject matter for this little video, surely. So this is the Delike Alpha Pocket Fountain Pen, and I'm writing on monocle paper, and it's lovely paper. As you can see, I was rather disappointed by this. I got this notebook in Hong Kong airport ages ago, and this happened without really much prompting from me. They did replace it in an email, in a very well, not in an email, but they via email they agreed to and did replace it with another one. I wouldn't say the email was the most charming email I've ever received from a customer service team, but hey, they sent me a new one, and I love the paper. I can't remember anything about the paper other than the fact it's made in Germany, and I have the Delike inked up with the Conklin 120th anniversary blue ink, just because I rather like it. So I mentioned the happy lines, and you can feel on the horizontals, you can see how close something quite fun about how close they go on the vertical, which is more than I would normally do. There's a kind of a slick slide to the verticals, which you can keep. That's what it is. Something about the design of this Xiaomigong Jian is trying to get my tones right. Is it enables me to keep a line in its track more easily than I normally would normally my scraggly lines all over the place. And that's something I rather like about this. It makes for a rather satisfying writing experience. On the horizontals, you can perhaps see or hear that not only is it broader, but there's a sort of different kind of resistance when you drag it horizontally, which creates this broader line, but it still has that kind of track feel to it. It lays down a very reliable line. The ink flow is great. There's plenty of it. There's a little shortfall of ink, perhaps, from what I'd normally. Maybe I'd like a little more juice from this pen, but I would say it's perfectly fine for the job, and I enjoy writing with it very much. As I said, it's a sensory pleasure to write with this pen. I'm not sure it does improve or yeah, lovely Panda 6 Jinxed Zebra 4 quick game of whist. It's good ink flow. It's enjoyable to write with. And as you can see, you can play with the angle a little bit. Not that I'm a huge fan of that. This is not a fude nib. The fude nib, the word fude, that refers to Japanese brushes and emulating those. And this is, I think this creation is very much a Chinese nib. So you have quite specific sweet spots on this device. But I must say it's really rather intriguing, and I don't want to overemphasize my positive thoughts about this pen because, well, one, a lot of that is wrapped up in how much I'm enjoying the nib, possibly with the accuracy permitted by the noctagonal, noctagonal, the 9-sided lid. But as I've emphasized earlier in the review, the design copying bothers me. I think this is a huge missed opportunity by Delike. I think it has some great features. I think it's in many ways a better pen than the Kaweco. You wouldn't want to write with it for long periods because of the weight. That's the last point I'd make about the writing experience of this pen. It's damn heavy in the hand. It's not a pocket pen. It looks like a pocket pen, but it doesn't feel like one. It's not a Kaweco. It doesn't feel like one. It's lovely to write with for about a page in private because the design is an unnecessary copy. This is Andy Dorm from pandapenclub.com on the Panda Pen Club YouTube channel. If you've liked this video, consider pressing like or subscribing to our channel. And if you have any questions, comments, feedback, ideas for improvements, please comment below. It'd be brilliant to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Panda Pen Club.